So there are a lot of abilities in League that you hit them and it feels really satisfying, whether it's a hard ability to hit or an easy ability to use that you use often. There are just a lot of abilities. That's one of my favorite things about League is that there are a lot of abilities that you just get a huge rush of dopamine when you just throw them into the enemy or whatever. And this is a list of 20 of the most satisfying ones. There are still a lot of satisfying abilities to use that aren't on this list, but these are just the basically the 21 ones that came to mind first. Um, some of some of these are actually multiple abilities because well I don't know, I make the rules, I guess. So some of these are actually like champions kits or part of them, but either way, for before we get to the video, a quick reminder if you could pray Ulti at the 2016 World Championship final semifinals, the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the video, and leave a comment with your most satisfying abilities if they're not on this list, or if they're on this list and you just want to talk about what you like about them. If I don't mention it either way, I would greatly appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. But I don't want to show for too long, so here's the first ability. Um, so it's Zoe Q from a long range. There's by the way, the pictures are going to be low res because I took the icons from the League Wiki. So, and I tried to blow them up because they would be very small otherwise. But either way, um, there's going to be a few categories to these. So there's the abilities that are really satisfying when you snipe someone out with them, and Zoe's Q is definitely that, especially if you ult to extend the Q range. Hitting someone from a mile away with this ability is just it's honestly one of the abilities where you're disappointed when it doesn't one-shot someone because you see so many clips of Zoe one-shotting people from two screens away. If you even if you're like you just dinged level 6, you have like one amplifying tome in your inventory, but you hit someone from two screens away with the Q, you're kind of disappointed that it didn't one-shot them. So, but when you do one-shot someone with it, especially if the target's asleep, then it's just one of the most satisfying abilities. Um, Karma Empowered Q is also it has a big oomph when you hit him with it, like just and the aftershock closing in is kind of satisfying too, but mainly like the huge just ball of energy is it's pretty satisfying when you hit the enemy with it. Also the Aatrox Third Q G2 would sadly know about this one when uh when the Shy just threw down the third Q. That was one of the craziest just one ability in pro play that just essentially wiped them. Aatrox third Q can do that. Like all of his Qs are just a build up. His first and second Q are just a build up to the big earth shattering Q. Even if the hitbox for the knockup is kind of small, it's still crazy satisfying ability to end your combo with, and it's kind of like it feels like it was kind of designed to be like that combo ender. Then we have Noelle Spear, which is kind of the same as Zoe Q, actually pretty much the exact same, except it is a harder ability to hit, but when you hit it, it does chunk people, like half healthing people with one spear and then throwing the follow up to kill them is pretty nutty when you're fed on Italy. And yeah, it's just a really it's also kind of like Zoe Q in the sense where like if you don't one shot someone, it's very unsatisfying, but also Nidalee Spear, the further you throw it, the more satisfying it is. But like if you just throw it from like 50 units away, it feels dirty to just, use it right melee into someone. So that's kind of a downside to it, but either way, it is still a fun ability to land. Got Malphite ulti, pretty much the only ability in Malphite's kit, but hitting a foul one is always just feels the best, honestly, especially if you have a team that can combo with it. Like, you throw other ultis into the fight. Malphite just runs in first, though. Just knocks everyone up, sets up a whole team fight with one ability. We have the Jace EQ. This one's in the sniper category for sure, where you just long bomb people with it, and once the Jace is fed, they can half health people, and it's just kind of disgusting the amount of damage this ability can do. We have Aurelion Soul Ulti. Um, this one is pretty satisfying to hit like mid range or close range, but like at a distance, just to finish out people. Like you could drive by with an E, just E across the whole map, and then just drive by someone and walk away. It actually does quite a bit of damage, and it's a pretty cool ability, especially like with some of the skins with how it looks. It's pretty awesome. We have the Karthus Ulti. Um, the the one ability everyone thinks of when they think of a one button penta. It's it's kind of disgusting, and last hitting with it is a lot of fun. Takes a lot of skill, especially to precisely press the R key instead of any other key on the keyboard. So it's definitely a rewarding ability to hit for all the intense effort you have to put in for it. But to be serious, like it's also like Nidalee Q because well Nidalee human Q because if you don't kill someone with it, or like, the first ulti does like 150 damage or whatever after resistances. So it feels really bad to use it when you don't kill someone with it. But when you're fed enough, you kill everyone with it. So it makes up for it in spades. We have the Garen ulti, the big meaty wad of true damage just coming from the heavens. Like this Garen as a champion is very frustrating to deal with because I don't know, he gets so much health regen and he's so tanky, but anyone who versus him has to agree that like dropping a huge sword on someone and executing them, it's kind of hype. And playing Garen, you just thirst for that moment in the late game, in the game-ending team fight. When their carries doing work and you just chop them off at 40% with just God's true damage and take them out of the fight. It's always a hype thing to land. I mean, well, not that it's hard to land at all, but it's always hype when it comes through. Then we have the Jarvan ulti. Honestly, I wish Jarvan ulti had a thing where it would deal more damage depending on like how many units you traveled before using it, because you could get like a running start with like an EQ if you buffer the ulti. It looks so sick. It's like you skip across the map and just dunk them. Like the running start is pretty sick, but the ulti itself is really just satisfying to land, like especially if you clump everyone in. But either way, like playing full AD Jarvan and just dunking on people is obviously the most fun way to play it because AP or tank Jarvan wouldn't deal a lot of damage, but you could like one shot people or just bullying the one immobile target on the enemy team, like forcing them to flash and then coming back at them like a minute and a half later and just dunking on them again is always something that's fun to do on Jarvan, but not obviously fun for it to happen to you. But it is there's a lot of these abilities are ultimates just because naturally it's like the main thing representing a champion's kit for most of them. So obviously they want it to be the most satisfying part of their kits. Then we have the Gangplank Barrel. This one is I hold a little place in my heart for it because Gangplank was like one of the champions that I played the most at one point. It's like my top three mastery champion, and well, at least at this moment. But it's like back in like season 7 or 8 when you would build crit and you could drop 1700 damage barrels and you would just one shot people with them. You would just dust them. So Gangplank barrels is definitely out there like triple barreling people from behind a wall and just one shotting them, or one parting them. It's always a fun ability to use. We have Annie Tibbers. This is just like the Tibbers drop because I was just dropping a giant bear on someone and then being one shotted by like the spawning damage is just kind of hype. Um, Especially because it just leads into every other ability so quickly and they just get evaporated. Then we had the Darius ulti. This one's an obvious choice. Like Garen and Darius and Jarvan ability dunks like that are kind of an obvious choice because Pike ulti would have been up here, but Pike ulti probably should have been up here. But a lot of these are still satisfying. It's pretty hard to make a concise list, but either way, Darius getting 5 stacks and just chopping through people And, it's just doing it again over and over until everyone's dead is always it's always an experience. But it is like a lot of these abilities, it's like when you don't kill someone with it, it feels it makes you cringe a little bit. So Darius is probably the one that's the most of the case, or most of that case for this because you see the potential. The potential of Darius's ulti is to kill everybody, and to only kill one person with it, or to not even kill them, to just use it and they don't die, feels really terrible. We have Echo ulti, especially like just you see so many people, so many videos and montages of people just popping because of the absurdly high AP ratio that this ability has, and it's no joke. It's a really fun ability to just snap back on people and just one shot them with it. You put them at 2 stacks and you just ult them, and combined with your passive damage, you could deal thousands of damage to people. The AP ratios on Echo are absurd. So it's always a fun ability to use. This is specifically a combo, just like Jace EQ. Got the Galio E auto. Um, because both of them together, you uppercut someone up into the air and then you just ground slam them. Like it's pretty sick. If you throw in the Q for the damage, but I know this is hardly a meta thing, but going like Dark Harvest and Lich Bane, and you kind of just want to walk around and just auto people, just auto them, one shot them. It would be cool if Galio had an ability with like an auto attack reset that had that was like his passive, just to be able to build a build around it, or build like an AP one shot auto. I don't know, something like that. But either way, it's still a pretty satisfying combo to land. The Q kind of staggers it a bit, which makes it feel less satisfying. If you like EQ auto, which is probably the more correct one, but it's so that they stay in the queue for longer. But either way, EQ or yeah, E auto is still pretty sick. Then we have Alawi's pretty much entire kit except for E. Because you see every time that someone plays Alawi and it's popping off, ulti just ground slams people, W bashes their head in, then tentacles are just slamming everywhere and just decimating people. Alawi is one of the more lame champions to verse, but to play her, if things are going right, if the enemy has a good comp for her, then she just dunks on everybody even more than Darius. Um, which is why she probably deserves a Dunk Master skin. Well, at least more than Ivern for sure, but that's that's for a different day. Yeah, Elia is a very satisfying kid, so that's why I put essentially 4 of her abilities up here. We have Mordekaiser Q. This one is a small one to land, but you hit so many of them, but every time you get the isolated Q. Not the unisolated Q feels terrible, but the isolated Q feels nutty. You just destroy people, and it's not one where you expect to kill people with it, which is the best because every time you actually like kill someone from like 40% HP with it, you're like, whoa, that killed? So, a lot of the higher placing satisfying abilities, this isn't really a top list, but a lot of the most satisfying abilities don't really have the surprise factor because you expect to kill with them. But this one, at least for me, there's still a surprise factor when you kill someone with it. We got the Nasus Q. This is a classic one shot ability where if you let someone farm for 2 years on it and they just walk around canning people, this is what you think when you think of AP ratio, or not AP ratios, but just infinite scaling. You think of Nasus being stuck in the side lane for 30 minutes and one-shotting people, and really dropping DK on people it truly never gets old, even if you end up using this ability thousands of times when you play Nasus, even a few games. You have Ornn. I put the Ornn W icon, but this is more about the brittle auto, just clapping them up real quick, knocking them with the tiny knock up, and the huge damage that brittle autos do is always a nutty experience. We have the Shyvana E in Dragon form. Definitely pretty much the exact same thing as Karma Mantra Q, to be honest, but the ratio is higher, so it's more satisfying to just one-shot people with it. Then we have the Yorick Q, just beating them with the shovel, and the swing, like NASA. I feel like Nasus's swing and like in terms of animation is a lot less powerful than Yorick's. Yorick's just like takes the shovel over his head and just beats someone down with it, and Nasus, sure he does the same thing, but I don't know. Yorick just seems to put more effort into it. We have the Zigzalty hitting someone while they're in the center of this baby. It'll just evaporate them. It's again one of the abilities that feels bad when you don't kill someone with it, but if you use it in like a tight space and you hit everyone, it's so satisfying. We have the Swain second part of his ulti, where after you vamp everybody's health, you just let it all go and just knock everyone out with it. It's pretty sweet. I definitely enjoy it. I mean, I miss old Swain. Old Swain was goofy as hell, and his drain tank antics were always funny. But the new Swain, the Swain rework is pretty sick, and the second part of the ulti is a big factor of that, like a huge shockwave of evil energy coming at him after he vamps everybody is always pretty cool. Don't want to finish that one. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you've made it to this point, watching through 20 of, in my opinion, the most satisfying abilities in League, where there are a lot more, but at this current point, these are the 20 abilities that jumped out to me the most. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe buttons and maybe comment what abilities you find satisfying that aren't on this list, or maybe add more reasons why some of these abilities that I've mentioned are satisfying. Um, and yeah, see ya.